So we are back. We are back with Miss Adrienne Pearl. We've been talking mostly about real estate. We talked briefly about counseling. We talked about working with the community and the youth. We talked about how important it is to be financially literate and financially savvy in order to do some of the things that we dream of doing, like
That's
home
right.
ownership and having families and building legacies, long lasting movements that have longevity. What in this process, what would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
I honestly don't know. I think maybe in the beginning they may feel like that. Oh, I'll say when I first got into it, like I mentioned before, I was an investor first on that side, and then my client, who's still my client to this day, Joseph Calhoun, he actually came to me and said, "Hey, I want you to represent me. I want to buy a property in Suffolk." And so that's when I got that love for being able to represent clients and go on that route. And so I feel like one of the misconceptions is people still look at me as in the investor world and maybe being only that. Like I used to get people to say, "Oh, I didn't know that you were a real estate agent. I thought you were just a flipper." And so that would be the most common misconception, is them thinking that that's all that I do. I feel like now though it's a little different because I am sharing my journey online, and a lot of people know what's going on. But beforehand, that was one of the misconceptions, that they did not know that I had my license. They thought that I was just flipping and stuff.
What advantages what advantage or advantages do you have from starting out as an investor? How does that help you dealing with clients?
It helps a lot. It's totally two different worlds, I would say that. But it helps a lot because it gives me the ability to look and go into a property, right? And then I can look at things that a typical buyer won't look at, and especially if they're interested. And so let's say we go into a property and we're looking at it and I'm showing it to them. And they might be like, "Okay, I really like this property, Adrienne. Let me get a second look." In this industry, it's hard to get a second look right now. But at that first time, they're like, we're in there for a good little while. They're like, "I really like this." And so then I'll start going through the property, looking at things that they may not look at, maybe like looking at the ceiling to see if there's any water leaks or what happened from the roof. So I'm looking at things that they might not even pay attention and know that I'm doing, but I do that because I do have that investor background and that mindset. So just being able to go into the property and then assess and then realize, okay, is this really worth it, or these are some of the things that you want to look into when we do this inspection, etc.
So do you still consider yourself a investor / flipper now? Like
I am.
Okay,
I
so
definitely plan on getting back into the flipping game, but for the last couple of years, I've been on the rental side. So last year, I purchased my second rental property. In 2020, I purchased the house that I live in now. And then I rented out my first home. I never sold it. And then last year, I purchased my second rental property. So I'm on that world of acquiring properties and then making them affordable housing, etc. But I definitely plan on getting it back into the flipping. It's really tough with the industry right now. It was getting tough over the last couple of years. The properties were overly priced, and then you got to think about the things that you have to do as an investor to get in there and fix it up and then resell it and all that other stuff. But I work with a lot of investors still, so I do have that respect from them, as well as the community, because I do play both hats.
now you said you have rental properties. Now that in and of itself is impressive on so many levels, because I know a couple of people who have had rental properties, and there have been some stories. Just last night, I had some neighbors that are across the street from my house. Like they were renting a home, and for whatever reason, and I know this because the owner spoke to me about it. But the people stopped paying their rent in March, right? So she, being the nice woman that she was, she gave them grace until May.
Right.
And then she finally was like, I got to take them to court. You know what I'm saying? So she filed her paperwork, and they went to court this week. And of course they won. They had to, they've, even before that, that weekend prior to them going to court, I saw them packing their, hurrying up and getting their stuff out of the house. Stuff out of the house.
So they knew it was coming time for them to get out.
So I didn't know they were going to court or whatever. I just knew they were in a hurry getting out of the house. So the owner says that they went to court or whatever, and the judge ruled in their favor, of course. And the lady didn't want an eviction on her record, but she hadn't paid, she hadn't been paying rent.
Right.
She came back. It's okay, so they lost. She stormed out of the building. So this was on a Tuesday. So Wednesday morning, I get up to go to work, and I open up the door, and I see the fence. Like, she had the white picket fence. They had kicked out all the,
the picket fence, the pieces of the fence.
Yeah, they kicked it all out. And I was like, was there a storm last night? Was there a storm last night?
No.
But it ended up being the tenants, they were mad because they lost, and they destroyed this woman's fence.
And I've heard stories, I've seen stories online. I have been blessed and fortunate to not have those experiences. I'm not even gonna say yet, because I will hope to not have those experiences. Seriously, because I put my heart and my soul into my properties. Like I said, the first one it was my first home, and then the second one, I bought the property. I put about 10 plus thousand in it to fix it up, because I want people to feel comfortable where they lay their head. So I want them to be able to feel like, okay, this is home. You know what I'm saying? So I will hope that they will respect my property. Now, you have those tenants that may not. And so that's why you have to do your due diligence on whoever you have there. I've been fortunate to have people that I know. I know they said that's not a good thing, and I totally understand. But one of the things I thought about, and I was just like, okay, well, if I go get a stranger, they might mess my stuff up too, type of situation. So I have a lot of friends that have had properties, and they have went through different stories. I have been, like I said, fortunate that I have not had to do that. And I try, if my tenant calls me and say, hey, this is going on, just like my first property, my tenant called me and say, hey, the roof is leaking. When I got back from vacation, actually, when I was away on vacation, I was scheduling appointments for the roofer to go over there and do a whole new roof. I knew with that property, I was going to eventually have to do that. So I take care of my property. So I will hope that you are doing the same. And then I know sometimes things get rough. So do I need that money because I'm paying the mortgage? Absolutely. But I try to work with my tenants as well. So it's tough. It's really tough. I'm going to be honest. You got to know what you're doing when you get on this side of it, because of situations like that. But you also have to have some reserves, meaning like some cash put aside for unexpected things too, because things do come up. I just mentioned about, the roof, having to get a whole new roof done. So you got to be prepared when you start jumping out there on that world of it.
Yeah, it just, like I said,
that is so unfortunate.
Yeah, I take my hat off to you, because like I said, you go through, like, it would make me ask, why rent? Just why? You know what I'm saying? Sell it and be done with it. But why? You know what I mean?
I want that long term. I want that, my first property, my mortgage on that first property, all transparency, is like, I want to say less than $600.
Oh, wow.
And so, and it's not too much that I owe left on that property. So my second property that I have, like I said, I paid about $130 for that townhouse. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's valued now at about $190.
Wow.
With the, and that's not even with the repairs. That's just because of what they're selling for. So with me, I'm in that game of seeing what I got, seeing what I can make off of it long term. And then people don't notice, but I talked about this before. You can pull equity out if you qualify, and then you want to make sure you talk to your lender in the bank to know all the terms. But you can pull that equity out of that property if you have it. They give you a certain amount if you qualify. And then that can be used for your kids' college fund. It can be used for if you want to start your business. I used it to do that investment. Like I said, do that flip. So there's a lot of things where I'm like, I'm keeping my properties. I want more. So I'm going to take that chance of whatever is happening, with these tenants. I'm going to take that chance.
Okay. Again, I take my hat off to you because I've heard all types of stories, but
I have too. I'm telling you, I have one client, the client I just told you about, and he has a lot of properties, and just listening to him go through different scenarios and things like that, I definitely see it happening. I see it happening.
All right. I just have two more official questions and I'll be done. So overall, where do you see your level of business, your movement being? Like, what do you see it being? If you could have it your way today, like at its best, what would you want to see it as?
I see me transitioning to another brokerage. I see me because I want to be able to gain that knowledge and on the broker side of how to run a brokerage, how that looks, and eventually open my brokerage. I see me having agents. I've had people come and want to be under me, but I just didn't have back then that comfort level of them to do that, because I want to make sure when I take on somebody, I can handle it. And then I'm also giving back to them and being able to help them out as well. I see my businesses like the staging side, the investor coaching and things like that growing as well. So I see me getting into the community, doing speaking engagements, resources, teaching, educating. But Pearls Design Properties is going to the next level. I already know it. It's already been spoken to me. And so I see it happening in the near future.
I know that's
I'm
right.
just bracing myself for how big it's going to get.
I know that's right.
But I see that happening.
Okay. Well, this is my last official question. This is a question that I ask all my guests. And once I ask it, I just want you to take a moment, think about it, and give me the best, most transparent, honest answer that you can give me. I know I didn't have to give you that little disclaimer because but it's part of the whole spiel. So just bear with me.
Thank you.
What would have to happen in your life, if it hasn't happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
I used to think, honestly, that being successful was that you had to have a certain amount of money. And then a certain lifestyle and things like that, like financial freedom and different things like that. That's what in my head, growing up and etc., is what I thought successful was. However, you determine what success is to you, like you just asked. And so I know that I am at the point where I know that I'm successful. I have. However, I also know that there is still goals that I have for myself and for my business. The biggest piece for me when it comes to success is, are you at peace? Are you happy? And do you love doing what you're doing? If you can say that, then you are successful. And so if for me, if I can't say those pieces or what, and I feel like there is still, I'm missing something, then I don't feel like I hit that piece yet. But I know for me, I feel like that I have hit success, but I do know that there is still more to come. I know that there's still more to come.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for sitting down with us
Absolutely.
and
This has
sharing
been
with us.
awesome. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me. Good
Absolutely.
panel. Good questions that you had. I was at first I was a little nervous, like, oh, wait a minute, am I prepared? But this
Yeah.
has been awesome.
No, I appreciate that. I know and for as long as we talked, I know that we're probably just scratching the surface of, you know, your knowledge or whatever. And so
Absolutely.
I reserve the right to bring you back on again at another
I'm
time.
open to it. I have enjoyed myself. I thank you, like I said before, for taking the opportunity to even ask me to be a part of your journey and what you are doing and putting out in the community. So like I told you before with that, when I saw that hat, I knew it was a sign meant to be. That faith over fear, I already knew. I said, okay, this is it right here. I'm supposed to be here.
Okay. So if somebody was watching this and you know, something touched them, maybe it's something that they wanted you to elaborate on, or maybe they got questions, or maybe they're a first-time home buyer, or maybe they're just a home buyer or whatever, and they want to enlist your services. How do they get in touch with you?
So you can locate me, social media platforms. I am on LinkedIn, Adrienne Pearl. I am on Instagram. I used to be a Priceless Pearl, but do not follow that page. It has been hacked. So my page now on Instagram is A Pearl the Broker. I am also on Facebook, Adrienne Pearl. I am also on my telephone number is 757-469-4009. But you can also call my business line. I'm sorry I gave you the personal. Don't use that. 757-971-2669. And then my email address is adriennepearl@yahoo.com. That is adriennepearl@yahoo.com for the email.
Okay, awesome. Is there any final words that you want to leave with the public or anybody that's, you know, aspiring to do what you do?
Yes, I would tell you to, if you are aspiring to be in the industry, whether it's a school counselor, whether it's the real estate professional, whether it is a business owner, I would say to you to do your research first. But most of all, I would say to you to just make sure that you have a passion for what you're doing. When you have a passion for what you're doing, it's not going to feel like work to you. You're going to enjoy it, and you're not going to have any regrets about doing it. I don't regret anything that I've done. I feel like it has allowed me to build and be in places that I may not have ever been able to be in before. So that is my biggest piece to you is, you know, and then faith over fear. You can do it. Speaking to yourself, you know, I do a lot of affirmations in the morning and listen to a lot of different affirmations along with, you know, reading my Bible. So just encouraging yourself and letting you know that if you see me and I did it, you can do it too. I am no different than you. So I, again, am excited. If you have any questions, y'all want to connect with me later, like he said, you could definitely contact me and I'll be more than happy to chat with you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Ms. Pearl. I wish you much blessings on everything that you have going forward.
Thank you.
Again, this is an open invitation. If there's anything that you want to promote, anything that you want to express or put out to the public, please feel free. You know, I'll make it happen.
Absolutely. I do want that. I'm gonna connect with you because I want a shirt and I want a hat. So I will definitely be connecting with you to get your apparel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. Here to support. And like I said, I like your purpose and what you're doing and what you stand for. So I'm definitely excited. And I know that you have big things in store. You just told me about I'm only scratching the surface with the information and things. I know that you are only scratching the surface. And I wish you peace, blessings, and much success on what you have going on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. You have an awesome day and a more amazing weekend.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. There you have it, folks. Another awesome episode with another awesome guest. Shout out to Miss Adrienne Pearl. If you have any questions, please reach out to her and allow her to give you some of that good old information, some of that good old education. And as I always do, I encourage you to step out on faith. If you have the vision, God will make the provision. Now more than ever, make your impact. Make a positive impact on your community, on your family. There's a remnant of folks that are waiting, needing to hear from you, needing for you to make certain moves so that they can make certain moves, because we're all somehow connected one way or the other. So with that being said, man, continue to strive and allow God to press you forward and step out on faith. That's what it is. Other than that, y'all have a great weekend, and I'll see y'all next week. Let's take